We're here with Dr. Lori Monaco. Dr. Lori, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here on the Get Foxy show today. I sure appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here, Terry. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So right off the bat, you have a moniker of the badass Buddha. What is a badass Buddha?
Um, Practically anybody could be a badass Buddha. I take that, there's a couple of stories behind it. So the first story, the most recent story is the fact that I'm a co-host to I'm a co-host to a Facebook, YouTube show and a podcast show called Viva Café con Leche. And that is my nickname on the show, along with my co-host who's called the Gladiator Guru. And we are both, the conversation is to help enlighten people, empower people, and to be as real and authentic as possible, which we'll get into a conversation about that shortly. But the actual name came in because I had started a blog about 2 years ago, and I've since gotten rid of that blog and replaced it with a different name. But it started off as the compassionate, that's what I call myself, the compassionate badass. That was the name of it. Because I had always been a very compassionate individual, but I never owned the name badass throughout almost my whole entire adult life, because I was very I had very bad boundaries. I never felt that I was a tough person, that I could stand up for myself, which I didn't. And then when I had my big transformation in my life, like midlife, I transformed my life, transformed who I was. I stepped into who I was meant to be. And that's when the term badass was presented to me. And at first I was like, oh God, I'm a little uncomfortable with that name because I don't really feel like I own that term. But then I started to really get to know myself, and I started to say, you know what, I really actually am the badass in my life. And then I thought, okay, well, compassionate badass, that's what the name of the blog was. But then it took, so I'm also a big fan of Mind Valley and Vishen Lakhiani's group. And he came out with a book, which is like, I guess, a couple of years old now, maybe a year old. And it was called The Badass and the Buddha. And right when I had those two words next to each other, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense to me. I just flipped them. And I said, oh my God, I am the badass Buddha, because I always believed myself to be I used to say to people, if they say, what religion are you? I'd say, well, that's a tough question. I said, I'm a Christian Buddhist. That's what I used to say to people. I'm a Christian Buddhist because of how I was raised in Christianity, but then Buddhism was always very, I always connected much better to it. So I always had that Buddha in the back there too. So when I thought about compassion, and I'm like, well, Buddha's compassion. I mean, that's why I resonate so much with that. As soon as I saw those two words, I just flipped them and said, okay, I am going to own that, the badass Buddha. Not copying him whatsoever. Was more like, it was more like a compliment, because he just put into words in front of me what I had already had in place. I just didn't have those exact terms. And it's interesting because I have learned to really own it. I mean, when I tell you that I own that name, every time I register for networking groups, I actually put, just like as you see it on the video, it says name, first name, I put Badass Buddha. And on the last name, I put AKA Dr. Lori Monaco, because I'm more connected with that than anything. You know, my name will always be my name, but that really expresses and explains to people who I am, which we can get further into that conversation if you want, what the two mean.
Well, this is something that I felt you would be so great on this show for, is because you're all about being authentic, and you speak a lot on it. So what, first of all, I mean, everybody has their own definition of it. So I'd like to know what your definition of authenticity would be, and then why it's so important.
So being authentic just means being who you are, your exact self. And a lot of times it is at that moment in time. And once you identify who you are today, and if you say to yourself, I don't really like the person that I am today, then it gives you a starting point. So it's an awareness, and you decide, okay, if who I am today is not who I want to be, then who do I want to be? Okay, that's who I want to be. And then you know that, okay, I need to go from here to there, and I need to go, and then what do I need to do in between? And so as you learn about yourself and do personal development and do whatever it takes, read books, watch, videos, listen to podcasts, listen to speakers, get coaches, mentors, you learn about yourself and you learn who you are, and you become 100% okay with who you are, and you own it and you are accountable to it. So the interesting thing is authenticity is used all the time now. It's like the catchword. And I'm not complaining. I love it. I think that we are in a world where we're so confused by what's real, what's not, what we should be, what we shouldn't be, instead of just asking us, who do we really want to be? So we have people that get cosmetic surgery, people that do this, do that, wear false eyelashes, color their hair, whatever. That's neither here nor there. In the end, it's about what you are inside. Okay. So if you know who you are inside, that is being authentic. And that means that you have to back it up. So I always joke with people when people ask me that question and they say, well, what if a person is, an a-hole or something like that? And I'll say, well, if that is their authentic self, then they just need to be the best a-hole out there. And I'm so serious about this. I'm so serious about this because here's the way I look at it. When you are authentic and you own who you are, no matter what, if you are saying, I'm okay with being a kind-hearted person, I'm okay with being an a-hole, then you own it and then you wear it proudly. That's being authentic. So that means there's no guesswork. If it, how much I think about how much grief I would have kept myself away from had people been authentic with me, and if I knew myself too, me being authentic, if they had done that from the start. So I think back all past relationships I've ever had, whether it was friend or intimate, and their true self didn't come out initially to me, and then it came out little by little, or they pretended they were one way but they would act another way. And if they had just told me from the start, this is who I am, I could have made an informed decision. Okay, well, they're telling me they're an a-hole and they're telling me they're this type of person. So I can decide for myself if I want to hang out with this person. Now, people might say, well, why would you want to hang out with an a-hole? Well, someone's not bad people. That's because they're that way. Doesn't mean they're bad people. Not like you can't learn something from them. And it doesn't mean you can decide your level of relationship with them. So, for me, I know who I am. And it took me a long time to get to that because I went through my whole adult life just thinking I was going to be I was trying to be something what I thought everybody thought I should be. And I often heard from other people what they thought I should be. And so when you don't know who you are and you don't live your authentic life, you are guided by all this other crap, like all these other things that people are saying and the behaviors that they exhibit towards you because you're letting them because you don't know. And then, so it took me to hit my lowest point in life to get to decide who was I. When I said who was I after that low point, I was coming out of that low point. I was like, oh God, I don't really like who I am. And then I said, but does it represent me? Like who I am now, is this representing who I really inside am or who I want to be? And that's when the big question came and I said, no, it doesn't. So then I said, okay, well, who is it that I want to be? And then I decide, okay, this is who I was always meant to be. So that's the other piece is when we say, who do I want to be? It's not that you're not being true to yourself. It's really you're pulling out who you were always meant to be. And then once you do that, that is being authentically you. And you wear it, and and you're unapologetic about it. This is who I am. This is the person I am. And then let the other people decide if they want to be with you or not. And so that's why I think when people say, oh, you want to be authentic, but then they get very judgy about people who are just like very in your face and very, goal oriented people, like more assertive, and they're like, oh, I don't like people like that. But if they're being their authentic selves, they're not holding back. They're not hiding anything from you. So now you make the decision. If you don't like that individual's personality, then you don't hang out with that person. And then you let them know your personality, and then, either you work something out or you don't. And the moment I came to that conclusion, Terry, like the moment I said that I understood authenticity, like truly understood authenticity, and then applied mindfulness practice to it, which really helps bring you to your authentic self. It it became a game changer for me because I accepted other people for who they were. I was also able to see who was being authentic and who wasn't. Now, people sometimes think that what you represent, like you represent yourself. If you're authentic, you're representing who you are. And when I say that, I mean your personality. Like, in other words, if somebody talks to me, what they see is what they get. Like, that's it. That's who I am. I'm the person that you don't want to sit next to on the plane, because I will tell you my whole life story. I have nothing, I don't hide anything. But there are pieces though that of course, we all have points that you don't need to let every single person know. And especially if we are continuously transforming our life, we are we're always in transition. So there's always pieces that we're still working on, that we're fixing, that we're making better. And we don't always need to tell those pieces to other people. So like if somebody's thinking, oh, okay, I want to be my authentic self, but I'm not where I want to be financially, or I'm not happy in my job, or my relationships suck. It's not saying that you need to hide who you authentically are. You are you. Your life is currently a result of your past you. So it's in the process of changing. The first step is being authentic, and the rest will play in. So people don't ever have to say, well, they're being inauthentic, they're misrepresenting themselves. No, they're who they are inside. They're showing you who they are. And then the rest of their life, their world, is going to catch up to who they are now. So when people say, oh, I'm a very authentic person, you don't need to say that statement necessarily if you are authentic. You are just you. And if, so I don't ever really say that statement, I'm an authentic person, unless it comes up in conversation. But that's not, and even if somebody says, oh, being authentic, I don't say, well, I'm an authentic person. I don't even say the statement. I usually just say, this is me, like, this is it. So it's either, I'm a work in progress, always will be, but I'm definitely better than I was, 5 years ago. I'm definitely better than I was 3 years ago. I'm better than I was yesterday, I think. I don't know. That's a wonky thing sometimes. Sometimes you have your little highs and lows, but overall though, that's the whole point. That's what being authentic is.
This sounds like the key here to start in claiming your authenticity is stopping self-abandonment. In
Sure.
that, you're well, this is the way I really feel inside, but in order to please this person over here, I'm going to pretend to do something else, and I abandon who I am, or how I feel, for the sake of this other individual. And so if that's the case, how does one end up working on letting go of that self-abandonment so that they can become more authentic?
That's such a great question. And for some people, they can start doing it just by making a decision. For others, they have to hit a rock bottom place and realize change has to happen. That happened to me. But I've met so many other people that they didn't hit their rock bottom. They were on their way, but they caught it before it happened. So it's the first is you have to know you're worth it. So that's a big catch-all thing too, is I am enough. But you know what? I don't mind that saying being said all the time either, because it's true. The moment that we decide that we are not worth it and we're not enough, then you will never allow your authentic self to come out, because you don't think who you are inside is worthy. So you're trying to be somebody else. And so that's what I did for years. When you decide, like I recommend to people, to clients, and to when I'm teaching workshops, is to, if you're not happy with your life, if you're looking at it going, this is this all there is, or I was thinking so much more and I wanted to be somewhere else and doing something else. Okay. So you need to sort of acknowledge that, and you need to say, okay, why did that happen? Like, why am I here right now? Why is my life not what I had originally thought? And then if you say, well, it's because of this and this and this, it's so easy to blame other people. It's so easy to find an excuse. And that's fine. You could say, well, this person, that person, but then you have to come to terms with, where did I play the role? Like, what role did I play in this? And if you say, well, okay, I did make this choice. I went out with this person and I knew right away they weren't really a good person for me. Or I went to college when I didn't know what I wanted to do and I wasted time and money. Okay, so you have to understand that piece. And then you say, okay, but who am I inside? I'm a kind-hearted person. I start identifying the things that you know about you. And then say, I am worth, I am enough. It is worth the world to see what I am inside and have to offer. And the more you say it and the more you write it down and the more you step into not listening to other people, but listen, like the people around you that squash you, but the people, but try to get people around you that are going to say to you, you are worth it. You have something to contribute. I don't care if it's to one person. You know, it's, we're not looking like you have to be, you know, out in the real world and speaking to massive amount of people. That might not be your thing anyway. You might not become that, that might not be your authentic self. You're more of a quiet person. But if it's one person that you make a difference for, so the first person you have to start with is you, but sometimes that's a hard sell. Like, I knew for me, it was so much easier for me to help people. I could always I could always help other people. I just couldn't help myself. But once I realized that in order for me to be effective in helping other people, truly be effective, I have to help myself. I have to put me first and then fix what I need to fix, then help other people. I'm not saying I didn't help other people along the way, but I was only able to give a certain amount. But what if I helped them even more? And what if I had them help other people from what they learned and so on and so forth. So the minute I said, okay, you know what, all the stuff that I've been hearing for years and all the stuff that I've been believing was all BS. It was all a lie. Whatever people thought I should do or what I thought I should do because of other people, it was all a lie. Never felt right to me. And every time that I would try to pull the real self out, I would meet somebody and then they would like that person and then somehow, some way, well, I know somehow I allowed it, but they would pull me into the direction that they wanted me to be in because I wasn't strong enough. I didn't have strong boundaries. I wasn't strong of myself. Now it's different. I meet people and I can instantly feel them pulling. And the minute I pull, I call them out on it, not in a mean way, or I just go in a different direction, or I just hold my ground and they know what they're dealing with and they don't bother to try. And so it's easy, I think, when you don't really know who you are. It's not even, I think it's easy. It's definitely easy for people to be manipulated and um, pushed in directions they don't want to be pushed into when they don't really know themselves. So it starts with feeling that you deserve it, feeling that who you are inside is enough and it's worth for the world to see, and then building on from there.
So it sounds like setting personal boundaries is
Of
pretty
course.
important here.
Yes. 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 I think, you know, I grew up in a very Italian American family, and in the females in the Italian American family are taught to take care of everybody else. You take care of everybody else. You're dead last, and you know, give, give, give. There's a lot of sometimes enabling that happens in there. A lot of imbalance between how females and males are treated. You know, men are kind of catered to. The females are the ones that are always taking care of everybody. So sometimes, and it's not saying across the board. I have some male cousins that are just absolutely phenomenal, but there could be some, you know, entitlement type of thing. And so when you grow up in that environment, you know, again, it's not an excuse. It's just a reality. Any environment that you grow up into, that you sort of get that that's the way things are supposed to be. I'm supposed to behave this way. And it took me a lot of reprogramming to get out of that. And so for me, I had to step in and say, okay, that's not okay. That's not okay. And I was such a people pleaser. I always wanted to fix things. That was always my thing. Well, I could still be a people pleaser at a certain level. I mean, I love pleasing people. It's so much fun. I love making people laugh. I love laughing, But I've learned that I can't please everybody because I'm not for everybody. And I'm okay with that. For the first time in my life, I'm okay with that in the last few years. I love helping people, but I'm not, what I offer is not helpful to everybody. And the minute I started putting up the boundaries, I thought the boundaries were bad because that's what I was taught. Oh, you don't want to have the boundaries because you want to be there for everybody every time. But then I left my feeling like, bleh, like I felt gross. But that was okay. Like it was okay for me to feel gross, but not hurt anybody else's feelings. And when I realized that was so messed up to be taught that, and I'm not blaming my mom or how I was raised because that's all she knew, because that's how she was raised. So it really becomes more of that's not okay. That's not okay. And then explaining sometimes to the elders that that wasn't okay to be that way, whether they do something with it or not. But like I think now with my boundaries, I have more friends than I ever had in my life. I'm more loving than I've ever been in my life. I'm happier than I've ever been in my life, all because I decided this is who I am. This is what I want in my life. This is what I don't want in my life. And these are the boundaries that are going to allow me to be the best version. And for those that have a problem with my boundaries, then I don't need to know you. I don't need you to come into my space, because if you were authentic, then you wouldn't have a problem with my boundaries. And it's so empowering when you get to that level. I mean, it really is. I wish I knew I was like a child. Would have, could have, should have, no worries.
And so this is what you do. You help others figure these things out, correct?
I do. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your programs?
So I do. So I have a couple of things. So I do. So first off, I do VIP individual coaching, but I also do group coaching. I have something that's going to be coming online in the summer called Transformation University, and it's a 6 to 12 month long program where people work on very specific elements, and it's all based on what I created, what are called the 7 core pillars of alignment. And the in other words, if you are in alignment with certain elements of your life, you will live an abundant life. You will be an authentic, you'll be authentically you and very, very happy, and or joyful even. And this kind of came on with the idea because my profession as a doctor I'm a chiropractic physician. And so we always were taught, you want to teach people spinal alignment. If your spine and the bones in your spine are stacked up, and as long as they're in alignment, the information will flow up and down to your brain and from your brain. And okay, fine. But then I thought, but you can have a perfectly wonderful spine and everything's moving beautifully, you're still making bad choices. So there's got to be more than just a physical change to your body. So I started to think along the lines of stacking up. And if each piece is stacked up properly, then you will flow. So what pieces are there in life? Well, there's the mental piece, there's the emotional piece, there is the social piece, there is the spiritual piece, there is the physical piece, the physiological, like the function of your body, and then the financial piece. And if each one is lined up, your life will flow as it should. And so each piece is represented in Transformation University, but even in my just general VIP coaching, we cover each of those pieces. It's more intense in Transformation University. It's like dive in group stuff. And then and one piece that I also focus on as of lately, because of something that happened to me, the physiological piece. We're so worried about our health because of what we went through over the last year. And most people don't realize that what we put in our bodies, I mean, most people understand it, but they just can't break the habit of it, is what we put in our bodies really messes us up. So on the physiological piece, one of the things that I've been pushing as of lately is what I call my Fat Eviction program. And it's the base using what's called the Chiro weight loss program. And that one is teaching people how to eat, coaching them on understanding their body habits, how to break them, reprogramming their brain so that they understand what they're eating, why they're eating, and how it affects their body. And then then have supplements, and they go on a clean eating program for 6 month, 6 week blocks, and they lose like 15 to 35 pounds. And that kickstarts them, because most people will come on initially going, I just want to lose weight. I want to feel better. But then here's the thing about weight, because this is what happened. I was mentally and emotionally there, but I was like very overweight still. And I was like, okay, I'm not representing, like people are looking at me going, well, I'm doing these workshops and I'm teaching to companies and healthcare workers, but I'm saying all this great stuff, but I'm not like I'm overweight, and I couldn't seem to get rid of the weight. And so in the midst of our lockdown, I gained another 10 pounds, which I didn't need to gain. And so I said, okay, this is ridiculous. So I started using this program that specifically marketed by chiropractors or to chiropractors. So I started using the program, but I packaged it into coaching and training with the eating protocol. And I lost 40 pounds from mid-June to the beginning of November. And I did it at 50, and I did it in perimenopause, when they say you can't really lose weight very well or at all because of your hormones. I balanced my hormones. I look and feel great. And so that, for people on the program, they'll get in there, they'll lose the weight, and they'll go, oh my God, I feel so different. I don't just look different. I feel different. My life now doesn't make sense to me. And you see this a lot. You hear people when they lose weight that they get divorced, they change their jobs, they change their careers because of the weight loss. The weight loss was one piece, one block. It's that once that weight loss shifted, they shifted, and now their life changed, and now they have to align with everything else, and that's why people gain weight back, because they don't change their mindset to match the weight loss. So they don't change, and they go right back in, and they make the weight come back, whether they want to or not, or whether they realize it or not. They make the weight come back so that it matches their life that it used to be. So transformation, that's the whole point of the program. It's feeding on the idea of transformation, that when one piece shifts, the rest of it has to shift. You have to change your idea of who you are, and it has to all match, has to all align. So that's it in a nutshell.
So if somebody wants to work with you, how can they find out how to get in touch with you?
Sure. So they can go onto my website. It has all my programs on there. It's drlorimonaco.com, DR, and then it's my name, LORIMONACO.com. I'm also on Facebook at Dr. Lori Monaco. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram at Align Yourself Inc., although I might actually switch it back to Dr. Lori Monaco, and Twitter and LinkedIn. So they could find me. They could just look up Dr. Lori Monaco and find me. I also have shows that I also do. I'm a co-host of. So there's ways that they can connect and get free coaching and empowerment, but then there's also the programs that they can jump onto, and all they have to do is they could set up for a free 30-minute consultation or watch the information video. And then if they want to sign up, let's say for the health program, they can just sign right up. And I do, they can sign up anytime. I do Wednesday nights and Saturday morning coaching sessions, and they do their 6-week interval. But I'm very accessible. So even just Googling my name, you find me all over the place.
Fantastic. Well, this being the Get Foxy show, I would be amiss if I did not ask you this question. And that's, what does Foxy and being Foxy mean to you, Dr. Lori?
Okay, I won't take a long, drawn out explanation on this, although I can, because I know I can talk a lot. So it depends on our definition, right? So Foxy, especially with females, usually means sexy and beautiful, and but being foxy can also be just cunning, and I like both definitions. I like to be cunning. You have to be intelligent, and you have to really be insightful, and you have to really think things through quickly and be able to, just figure things out right away. So I love that definition, but I am not going to take away from looking good and sexy, because I haven't looked this good since I was in my 20s. I didn't even look this good in my 30s. So I will take the physical piece of Foxy as well. So they both terms for me. That's what it means to me.
Who do you think's Foxy in your world at the moment?
Besides me,
Besides you? I mean, we know you are.
a lot of my clients, my best friend, who's the co-host on the show that we do, she's absolutely fantastic. She's definitely Foxy. That's my gladiator guru. That is my friend Margarita Chapman Rodriguez. And I have some sort of alarm going off here, and I don't even know what it is. It's my alarm or your alarm? Goodness gracious! All right.
That must mean
Our time is up.
our time is up. Well, Dr. Lori, actually looking at the clock, yeah, I mean, I think we're just about up. So if you want, leave us with one piece of advice, the one piece of advice on how someone can tap into their authenticity.
Okay, so the quick little exercise that you're going to do, you're going to take out a piece of paper and you're just going to write a list of who you are right now and who you want to be. Answer those two questions. Who am I now? Who do I want to be? And you be as honest as possible with yourself and write it down. Nobody has to see it, and you can work on this for days. It doesn't have to be a one-shot deal. Just keep fixing it and adding to it. And then you will get to your authentic self, closer and closer to your authentic self. And I usually end all my calls and my shows all the same way. And I think even my email is just be you, be real, and be extraordinary. And that is just being you is the best thing you can ever do.
Be you, be real, be extraordinary. That is beautiful. Lori, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I so honor you for creating more love and light and authenticity in the world.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks for having me on, and thanks everybody for listening.